Welcome everybody, it's Dave. This is Roots of England YouTube channel, or you may be watching it on the Roots of England school community. I'm just by the canal today. You might be able to see the ducks in the background there. There you go. Just going to go up these steps. I love these steps. So characterful. Look at that brickwork there. Here's the bridge. The ivy growing at the side of the bridge there. There's those ducks I was just telling you about, just having a leisurely Sunday morning. Anyway, back to my ugly mug. So, yeah, I don't really know what to talk about today, so I just thought I'd do a bit of a off-the-cuff type video, really, see where it goes. Today's Sunday the 28th of December. So, I suppose the fact I don't really know what I'm going to talk about, it kind of fits with the time of the year really as well. That strange time between Christmas and New Year where dog poo bags there. I mean, who does that? Look at this. What is that all about? Can someone please explain the insane mindset behind that? Because it blows my mind. Anyway, whatever. Right, okay. That strange period between Christmas and New Year where, you know, well, speaking personally, you never know what day of the week it is, although I think today is a Sunday, but doesn't feel like a Sunday. And, you know, it's just that weird few days, isn't it? You know, where, again, speaking personally, you know, satiated with turkey and gammon and trifle. Although, you know, can never have too much trifle, to be honest with you. I'm just waiting for the new year to start. A lot of people see the new year as a chance to reset, to restart, to re-energise, to form new habits. For me, I've always looked upon the 1st of January and in any year as just another day, really. It can be a reason to try to, you know, start afresh. But I think with regard to starting afresh, embracing new lifestyle, breaking habits, forming new habits and behaviours, etc. I think that drive doesn't come from a date or a kind of like a timeline. It really comes from within. You can start any day, any time, can't you? So that's just how I view that. And the reason I'm saying that is because, you know, I'm in the process. It's a long drawn out process of, Carl Jung would call it, the journey towards individuation. The process of becoming whole, attempting to become whole, the process of journeying towards personal truth, the process of shedding the old skin and growing a new, growing towards the light, you know, still. I think it's important to keep the darkness close, to understand that darkness, but to reach and embrace and search for the light. And that's where I'm at in my personal kind of, in my life. And there's been a lot of darkness in the last few years for me, in terms of death, suffering, isolation, dealing with a world that has gone mad. Trying to find my place in that world, and not only try to find my place, but to thrive. And you know, to try to thrive in a world where if you're like me, you've maybe, I don't know whether you've always had issues with trying to belong, finding a place and finding a sense of belonging and connection. In a world that's not Western world, postmodern Western world, that's not really, you know, designed for that. So that's kind of where I'm at, and I'm trying to derive new purpose by doing these videos, hopefully offering people some good content and good value and good relatability, really, and by building a new community which is also called Roots of England. And what I'm trying to do on there is to connect like-minded people who are searching for real belonging, who want to connect with like-minded souls, and who love their country and what's great about their country. So in this case, obviously England, it is called the Roots of it. It is called Roots of England. And I personally am passionate about the things in the country that I love. You know, this country made me who I am. It's not perfect, but I mean, hopefully you can see from, we're approaching the dead of winter now. Nature's fast asleep, but there's just a peace and a quiet, understated, humble beauty about this, you know. I love coming out here on these walks, and one of the aspects to Roots of England and countryside and nature, anything that I feel, anything that I love and that's close to my heart and I'm aligned with, that I feel is also under attack or in danger, you know, I will passionately spring to the defence of. And one of those things is nature in England, a small country with a hugely disproportionately big population that's exponentially growing. The number of house building projects, for example, that are going on, and countryside, nature, beautiful habitat, you know, places where wildlife resides, you know, just being torn up and replaced with concrete and, you know, soulless new build houses. So that's one of the things I'm passionate about, is nature. If you are as well, then you may enjoy what I'm doing. So yeah, so just some reflections. As I say, it's a bit of a rambling video, this one, but that doesn't matter. Sometimes they're the ones that people relate to the most. I do get the sense, looking back on, not just looking back on this year, but looking back on the last few years, I think I get the sense from talking to people that feelings of loneliness, isolation and meaninglessness are common. You know? Now, you can be lonely when you don't have anybody to talk to, and you can also be lonely when there's lots of people close to you that maybe you don't relate to. That feeling of loneliness and not feeling like you belong, not feeling like you're connected. I've done a lot of work on previously via my YouTube videos and my previous book on why that is. Why is there a crisis of loneliness and disconnect and loss of purpose, like a collapse almost? You know, why is that? It's very, you know, it's very, very multi-layered, in my opinion. And that process of getting to society, getting to where it is at the moment, has been decades in the making. But I think one big one, if I just have some ideas now, one big reason for that is, and I'll do a separate video on this, is, you know, that kind of corporate mentality, I would say, the corporate embrace of the corporate lifestyle. You know, I think you've got a situation in the UK now where you've got millions, tens of millions of people working in a job that they detest, that they're stressed by, working towards goals and objectives that are nonsensical. You know, the bigger organisations get, the more corrupted they become as well, the more incompetent, the more idiotic they can become. And, you know, I do think that we've kind of ended up in kind of like a soft totalitarian idiocracy. I'm sure not just in the UK, this phenomenon is quite widespread. But that's, if you're doing a job that's draining you emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, you know, perhaps working for a manager or a boss that's psychopathic, it's very common. Sitting in traffic jams, you know, doing a job that you hate. Sounds like Fight Club, that, doesn't it? What is it? We work the jobs we hate to buy the shit we don't need. I mean, how true is that? One of the most famous lines from film history. Very succinct and a lot of truth to it. So I think that's one reason you know. And you know, another reason is the constant demands placed on people's energy, you know, and time. Again, because of the way the kind of like the structure of our current society, it does place a lot of demands on people financially and emotionally, psychologically, via constant propaganda attack. People, you know, not being able to keep much of their hard-earned money because they're having to pay via tax. So that's one big reason. And you know, another reason I think is, this is why I'm very passionate about the idea of community and trying to define what a community is to me, and then what community do I want to build and who do I want to invite into it, is that you know, the fracturing of community. And then it's the fracturing of the Western ideal, first of all, and then underneath that, the fracturing of nations, particularly politically, and then underneath that, the fracturing of communities, and then underneath that, the fracturing of families and friendship groups, and then underneath that, the fracturing of like the individual psyche, you know, and then the collapse into, you know, possibly nihilism and hopelessness and helplessness, if that's a word, you know what I mean. So there's two big reasons. And again, what's the solution? I've done a lot of work on trying to describe in my own way and define, diagnose what society's ills are, and gone some way to trying to put forward solutions. But I really, through what I'm doing now, this new project, I really want to focus more on what the solution is. And for me, I passionately believe that each individual can bring about their own solution, even if it's only a part solution, you know. And it's by trying to seek that connection that feels close to who you are, what you strongly believe in, what you connect to, and trying to find that and kind of contribute to the flourishing and building of a community that you want to see. You know, whether that's just a few people or a lot of people, by, you know, the embracing of creativity, you know, reaching out, finding people. And I think the future does belong to individuals who are looking to seek like-minded souls and to build something around common shared objectives and values. And you know, values, I talk a lot about values. I think they're very, very important. So again, if you're interested in what I do, Roots of England, click the link to join the school community. It's my way of trying to bring people together who are like me. They don't have to be exactly like me. People who love their country, you know, I'll just click there. Oh, there we go, yeah. A bit slow. Hope that was okay. You know, this is what I'm showing you here is just the edge of West Lancashire. Huge, well, not huge, but a big open space that I regularly visit on my walks. So the people like me who love the great outdoors, connecting with nature, love animals and wildlife, if you love traditional English customs and our amazing heritage and uniqueness, you know, gorgeous villages and country life, rural life. So that's what I love. That's what I'm passionate about, and the values that, and everybody is welcome. Anybody is welcome to join if that's something that resonates with you. It's also underpinned, I'm trying to, as I develop my own and try and live more in alignment with my own personal values. Some of my own personal values I'm more in tune with than others, but a big one is truth. You know, trying to find what's true for me and trying to live in accordance with that truth. So there are certain lines lines in the sand that I will never cross. There have been times in the last few years where what's been asked of us as citizens and also as employees has been absolutely totalitarian in nature, absolutely immoral to the point of extreme, and I've tried my best not to comply with any of those diktats or rules or demands of me, and they've caused a lot of damage in the world, in many countries. And again, I don't want to dwell too much on that, but what I'm saying is that I'm now trying to produce work that's very wholesome and that is uplifting and that connects people and brings them together, hopefully, around those shared endeavours, those common objectives. But also, you know, I have a kind of like a resolute side to me that demands that I have to make sure I don't, hope you can hear me, a bit of a breeze, I don't forget all about that darkness that still exists in this world, you know. And I won't push it away too much because I need to understand what it is. And then in that process of understanding that darkness, you know, I can continue to try to reach towards the light, if that makes sense. I'm probably rambling a bit here. Well, I am rambling a bit. As I just walk along on this beautiful morning, the wind's getting up a little bit here. Maybe going to turn the corner, but I'll probably end the video soon. I think the future does belong, as I say, to people who are individuals who really have a yearning and a longing and a thirst to connect to other like-minded souls and are willing to build that community themselves or play an integral part in that community. You know, maybe looking back and looking at maybe the way things were only, you know, one generation ago, which I remember, and a lot of that still is. We do still have that, you know, the old ways, the old humble ways that when society was a lot more interconnected and maybe a bit more humble and cooperative and there was less division. There was still division, but there was less division. And obviously the days before the internet and social media, obviously the irony is you'll be seeing this on the internet and social media, but it's harnessing the tools that we have. I call it like individual altruism, you know, using our individual sovereignty and uniqueness to try to build something that is altruistic in nature rather than selfish in nature, if that makes sense. Using the tools that are at our disposal and also looking ahead to the next few years, because things are difficult and people are going to need a sense of connection and friendship and belonging more than ever. I truly do believe that. I really do. We are social animals. We are wired for connection and to socialise and to be with one another, you know. And the healthiest societies are the ones, you know, where the social contract is honoured by the majority of adults, where people understand that they're a stakeholder in their society, where they're willing to cooperate and build together around a shared endeavour. We don't all have to agree on everything. You know, where there's a bit of a sense of togetherness. And this can just be on a local level, on a very small level. I just think as long as you've got a set of people in your life that you feel connected to, and accepted by, and you relate to, and you trust them. That's all we need, you know? That's all we need to solve that chronic issue in the world of that loneliness and isolation and lack of meaning making, you know? So if you enjoyed this video, and if it all makes sense to you, if some of it makes sense to you, then do feel free to join my community. It's free for the first 50 people. We've got 20 in so far. And I'll just keep on building and keep on making content that I hope the right people will see and will relate to and will share. So just click the link in the description. It's just takes a minute to join. I'd love you to join. See what it is we've got there. There's lots of good stuff. And I'll leave it there. So thanks if you've stayed watching till the end. I know I've rambled on a bit inarticulately at times, I'm sure. But thank you for watching. And if you are watching on YouTube, please do subscribe, leave a comment if you don't mind, if there's anything that you want to say. And I'll speak to you very soon. Just a view of the canal as across the next bridge. There we go. It's that side. That was towards Liverpool that way, this way is towards Leeds. There we go. Okay. Speak to you soon. Thank you.